What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to work on a color grade for the Canon R5C. And just to give you the details on this is Lowndes Grove, Charleston, South Carolina. I'm on the R5C shooting in C-Log 3. It's golden hour, so obviously right around sunset. And let me tell you, this video is for, your one-man band, people that are shooting, editing, coloring, doing the audio mixing, doing everything. If you're a colorist, there's better people to basically find on YouTube who do this and just color only. They're going to do things to a whole nother level. But if you're like me, you have a small business and you just want to get a great image and not be on the image for 8 hours, this is kind of an easy way to do it, and I think a really nice way to do it. So this is shot on the Sigma f1.4 Canon R5C and C-Log 3. So first and foremost, I want to say I do use my scopes and I use them a lot. And so firstly, I'm going to need like my waveform monitor, because this is going to let me know exactly how to, adjust my brightness and really maximize all my information. So on this first node, is this my general color correction? So if you look at it, I usually have the waveform on no colorized. I don't have it colorized. So anyway, so first off, I usually adjust my contrast around 1.1 or 1.5. Right now it's a 1.802. So that gives me a good, decent level of contrast to start with. And then the pivot starts out at 0.435, but on this one, I adjusted it down to about 0.2. And that's because I wanted to boost my mids a little bit. It's, slightly underexposed. It's a little bit darker, so I want to give it a little boost. And then next, normally, I already have this node done. The saturation is at like 50. But I'll go to my vector scope, which I always have on show 2x zoom and show skin line indicator and show gradical. I have that on there. And so I'll bump this up a little bit. Maybe go to like 80 or so, get halfway, because imagine there's a line between the boxes, and basically your information shouldn't go past that line. If there was a line in between these two boxes, it shouldn't extend out past that. It, damn sure shouldn't touch this outside circle. So anyway, we have that saturation adjusted, and I added a little color boost in just to give it a little bit more of a boost in the areas that aren't showing enough saturation. So that's really my first node. I'm using my vector scope and waveform and just getting it generally corrected. And I do one more thing. I'll use the color picker for the white balance, and I'll click on it and then click on usually the dress for weddings, because that usually is what's white or what should be white. Obviously, we don't have a gray card or true white in the picture, but we'll choose that, and that usually gets me where I need to be. So initially, this is looking pretty good as our first node and just general color correction. And then node 2 is where we're going to bring in, bam, this is where we're going to bring in the film convert. I already have it on there. I just activated it. As far as the film stocks, I like the first three, the KDs and the FJ. And I like the Pro 100. I like the Velv 100. Sometimes I like the FJ Super X 400. Basically, I just go through here and see which one I like the best and what gives me the look I go for. But I usually use the same 3 or 4. And this usually gives me a nice, pleasing image. And then next, I'm going to go to film color. It's used by default, it's on 100. So is the Cineon, whatever that is exactly. But those two things basically adjust your S curve essentially. But I usually put those on about 50 to 60% for both. So you can see it's right around there. But you can adjust it more. And that'll basically see how to raise in the midtones here. And then you can adjust your color, just adding a little bit more color of the film stock in there. It's basically like mixing everything in. So that's on 70 now. Let me bump that back down. So this, I'm gonna go, yeah, high 60s is fine. So now we have this node on. Actually, let me bring it back down to what it should be. So right around 60. So yeah, that's easy. I'm done with that node. That's why I love film convert. You can really get something nice. So initially, this is pretty good. We'll go full screen. You can see it's pretty good. But this next step is really where I get it going. And so now this is real subtle. So I will go full screen, Command D. Oops, sorry. Let me get on the right one. Okay, now I'm on the newest node. So Command D, subtle. Can you see what I did here? It's on, off, on. So on this node, I'm gonna do qualifier and isolate those skin tones. And I go Shift H and it's gonna look like this. It's gonna basically isolate just the skin tones. And obviously it's gonna get some colors in the background, but generally speaking, I got my skin tones on there. And I'll look back on my vector scope and see, yeah, it's right here on the skin tone line. And if I want to go even a step further, I'll use one of these power windows and outline it and just the skin. And you can see on the vector scope, it's right on that line. So I know my actual skin tones are correct. They look how they're supposed to look. Never rely on your actual computer screen or whatever. If you use your scopes, it's going to be right 100% of the time. If it's not, then it's the actual whatever screen you're watching it on. So we can't control what people view your your films on, but we can't control this one common denominator, which is using the scopes. So anyway, Shift H is off, and we'll go full screen. So you can see now it's really popping. And then I do use the Beauty plugin on Vinci Resolve, and that adds some smoothing. So you can see off, on, off, on. It just really gives a nice, pleasing, look. Really smooths everything out. Makes them look their best. Especially for the bride. She wants to look the best, no blemishes. And this really gives it a nice smoothness to it. Gets rid of any imperfections. And then on this node, I'll usually boost the saturation just a little bit, not too much, just to make those skin tones pop a little bit. So I did that here. I think it looks good. So my next node, I'll usually get into my curves, which for some reason, using the curves after all these other nodes works best here. I've tried it before and it doesn't adjust it quite the same. But when I'm using the curves, I'm going to go use my waveform again, and I'm going to look at where I'm at. And normally I'll drag my shadows down or my blacks down all the way. So to where they're right below that 0 IRE. I don't want to crush it to where I'm losing information. As you can see, you can still see the information in his jacket. Everything is there. I can see it. Nothing's lost, so I know I'm good. So I usually bring that down a little bit. Now he's popping. You don't want to lose any detail in his hair or anything. All my details there. I'm not losing anything. So I brought that down, and then I boosted the midtones again to bring their skin tones out. You can see this is before. You can see, so it's okay. But when I boost it up just a little bit, it's really nice. And the R5C, the Kodak, it's really good. I'm not getting a bunch of noise, as you can see. Nothing crazy with those boosts. The Kodak is really good. You can really move it a lot and do your thing. That's why 10-bit is important. So now it's looking great to me. Like I really like this. I think it looks good. Then my last node is I'll do some sharpness. So I usually do that 0.48, 0.47. The R5C is very sharp, so you probably don't even need to really add any sharpness, but I did. And so overall, I'm done. And I can usually do this in like 10 minutes. And then basically I'll create a still from this and then use it on every shot that looks similar to this and then adjust it after. So that way I'm not spending hours and hours on color grading, but yet I'm getting an amazing image. And you can see, hey, this is looking good. This is the first clip in the latest highlight. I like to start off with a really nice hero shot in the beginning to pull the audience in, to introduce the couple, to show just how beautiful everything's going to be. And so I'll play you the beginning. All right, so my computer stuttered a little bit because there's some noise reduction on this clip, but that's how I started it off. Then I went to this clip, then brought it back to the original clip to finish it. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this short. No, this may not be short. I guess it was kind of a long tutorial just on how to get a nice color grade using Film Convert, especially if you're on any camera, not just the Canon R5C. Thanks for watching and go shoot something.